All right. There's something I needed to say. It has to do with people fighting the Matrix and how I used to fight the Matrix, all this nonsense, all this stuff, which is real. All right. And the response, you got to understand, the Matrix is a reflection of what you are on the inside. So when you affect the Matrix, there's going to be, that is an egoic response. This is the interpretation of the Matrix, that you are forcing the Matrix to do what it is that you want. All right. And it doesn't come together. So like, it's like the Matrix will fight back on you, because if somebody forced you to do something, you would fight back on them because you want your free will, right? So when you use energy to affect the Matrix, it does cause shifts, it does cause glitches, and it's hard for the Matrix to interpret what it is that you are doing, because it's getting direct user is getting direct input from a user standpoint. So instead of it coming through the larger side of the computer, right, which would be source or God, okay, now it goes from source into the mid-heavens to you, right? So if you were going from you into the mid-heavens, partially the Matrix in itself, it almost doesn't want to do what you're telling it to do sometimes, but it is willing because it's loving, right? So, and it's there for us. So the thing is that when it comes to that, the thing about Abraham Hicks and why it works so well for Abraham Hicks is that she's not asking to do it directly to the Matrix. She's asking her direct, she's asking Source or God to rain down the information, and through that information the Matrix listens and gives you what you want. Okay? So she's going from top into you, to the bottom, which is you. Now, when you use energy, remember that's you into the Matrix. Now, for this to work, which I have finally realized, is that you can exert energy into the Matrix for these things to happen, right? But at the same time, if you need something for, for you, you acquire from Source or from God, all right? You perceive the higher level of energy giving it to you, all right? And it's done. In that way, it's done, and there's no conflict between you and the Matrix. You understand? So this way, you can still be a user, and exert your energy into the Matrix, but you're not doing it in a sense of groping. You're not forcing the Matrix to do whatever you want it to do. It's an equilibrium, right? It's a dance. All right, so I mean, that's just the way it is. So there's levels to this, and also that there's what I'm saying levels. I mean that from Source or from God into the Matrix into you. Okay, so in that sense, through Jesus, that's the route that the Matrix approved of, because it's coming from a source greater than itself, okay? And it doesn't have a problem with that, but it sees you lesser than itself because it's bigger than you. You understand? And this is where the people get the thoughts of, it being demons or witchcraft and stuff. No, it's really just a reflection of your inner self reflecting on the outside in the matrix, and the matrix executes those programs around you. So basically making peace with the matrix itself, and respecting that if you push, understand that's whatever you put in, it's the way it's going to come back at you. And the more favorable it is, the easier it is. And always to keep source, which is God, in combination with these things to help mediate between you and the matrix, in a sense, for real. And that is the way for it to go. Once I realized that, it was so much more peaceful. So let's say you're in a situation, you're in an area of the matrix that is unfamiliar with you. The reason I say that is because it's different. You're going to have different life, a different experience in, California than you are in Atlanta, or in, Florida versus New York. Okay, it's just going to be different because of the ley lines. Those ley lines are those gatherings of information, and that's how the matrix processes the information. All right, so you're going to have different pockets of information that are in these areas. So, I still we look to work through those issues, all issues, through the with the matrix and with God, just to make your entire life peaceful. So the person who is exerting their will doesn't have to be exerting their will only in barren areas that isn't being harvested or being monitored heavily by the matrix. So you can go into a big city and be able to work with the matrix, but the matrix is going to protect other people's constructs, and if you do too much, it's going to want to remove you. All right, remember, when you see these actions of what you call agents or things getting in your way, it is a fear-based reaction of the matrix in correlation with you. So it wants to separate you. It's like, oh snap, this guy is forcing himself. Let me push him away. Right? That's really what it is. So, I mean, I'm not saying that you might not want somebody to come and grab you on the butt, but if you don't know the person, they might, it might not work out too well. You feel me? You be like, hold on, who's this? Just reaching and grabbing me. Right? That's basically the same personal type of reaction you would have. Alright, so that is what that is. Okay? And just trying to help larger level situations. Mediating between the matrix, the self, and with source. Alright? With God. Alright? So just know that that's the way it is. It is what it is. I've been asked more than once to go back into places. So long story short, and still be able to be a user that can exert force. It just once you understand it, But that's what it is. Okay. And yo, hold it down. All right.